Don't forget about love and purpose. Service is the mission, baby. Listen with love, listen with love, listen with love. Talk to your kids, ask them what's up. And listen up with, listen up with, listen up with love. Listen with love, listen with love, listen with love. Kick it with your kids, remember you were one. And listen up with love.
Hello, I'm Cindy Arenberg Seltzer, President and CEO of the Children's Services Council of Broward County. Welcome to another episode of Future First, Focus on Broward's Children. Today we're going to talk about high-quality after-school programs which promote positive youth development and offer a safe space where children and youth can learn, socialize, and explore their potential. They are also a smart community investment. Because access to high-quality out-of-school time programs is not always equitable, since our inception, CSC has focused on making these programs available to low-income children and children with special physical and developmental challenges. We understand that children and youth require support in every stage of their lives, so our approach to after-school programming is to provide a year-round continuum of age-appropriate services to children and youth all throughout their school years. Maximizing out-of-school time programs, also known as MOST, focus on elementary school age youth. Our Youth Force programs are for middle school children, and our Leap High programs are for those high school youth. All CSC after-school programs provide a supper component so that no one goes home hungry, and so much more, which you're going to hear about in a moment. With us today to talk about the importance of these programs to children, youth, and their families, as well as to the broader community, are Alice-Lydia Bird, Vice President of Youth Development for the YMCA of South Florida, Shawn Laser, Chief Program Director at Firewall Centers, and Henri Crocket, co-founder and president of the Crocket Foundation. Welcome to all of you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to see you all. Three of our upwards of 20 providers of all of these programs. Alice, I'm going to start with you as a former member of the CSC family on the inside and now at the Y to talk about that broad array, that overview of services, because the Y is involved in every aspect of our after-school programming.
So it's an honor. Continuum of care is at its best thanks to the funding of the Children's Services Council. What does that look like? We realize that it's cradle to career, starting with our MOST programs, as you stated earlier, in which we have our students from kindergarten all the way up to 5th grade. And there should be a smooth transition into our Youth Force programs where it's middle school age students. And it's at that part where we tend to start working on them with thinking about what career looks like, what college life looks like. Is it a technical institution? How about entrepreneurship? And building that level of cultural and diversity into our teachings and our offerings throughout those Youth Force programs. Then we make sure that we have that bridge into our Leap High programs. That's where our high schoolers, we always channel youth voice and choice, and we ensure that we understand high schoolers, they vote with their feet. So what does that look like? We survey our youth to make sure that we are meeting their needs, whether it's academically, socially, enrichment activities, and we're assisting, not supplanting, but assisting with day school services and activities. One of the good things, though, about the funding for the Children's Services Council is that I know at the Y, we're able to not only do inclusion programs, but we also have our special needs arm or department. So we have our SN programs in which we usually have our normal inclusion programs, but the SN programs are at a 1-to-2 and a 1-to-4 ratio. At most of our sites, we actually have nurses, nursing RNs on site, catering to the needs of those with varying abilities. And then from there, we branch off and we have our STEP program, supported training employability program. And it's building life skills, and also on-the-job training and workplace initiatives to those youth with varying abilities, and assisting them so that when they have graduated from high school, that they feel more comfortable in their normal working environment. And not only to CSC, but there are other partners that I'm sure both of you can also attest to in the community that have assisted us in making sure that those students and high schoolers, when they have finished from that on-the-job training program, they actually have jobs so it's a comfortable setting. And that's the reason why I think after-school programming and quality after-school programming is so meaningful, because there is a sense of belonging. There is that understanding that all people, and no matter whether it's a culture, creed, religion, orientation, etc., everyone is accepted. And that we are meeting as caregivers, we're meeting the needs of them by using, whether it's each other's ideas, etc., when we call each other. Children's Services Council uses a lot of research-based activities, research-based, evidence-based information. And then the rest of us, we make sure that we also pull community partners in, because we're stronger together.
I'm really glad you said that, because one of the things that I think is special about Broward County is the level of collaboration. Yeah. A lot of people talk about collaboration, but when they come to Broward and they see it actually in action, and the way you do share ideas, as we had a chance to chat before, you're sharing your best ideas. Correct. Because you're not competitors. You're all caring for the children and trying to do the best that you can. So as we shift into, so we got the broad overview, although there's one thing I want you to say before I turn to the gentleman, and that's the Alexander principle, because it's not just about what's with the head, it's about the heart with which these services are delivered. So talk about that.
So I'm glad you're mentioning it, and you know me on many levels way back, but anyone who really knows me, especially my staff at the Y, understands that yes, there is one person in my life that means the most to me, and that's Alexander. He's my one and only baby. And I always ask my staff and also the other Y leaders to understand that there should not be an after-school program that we're hosting that I wouldn't want Alexander to be a part of. Why? Because I want to make sure that I'm providing the epitome of quality of care and services that I would want for my own baby. I would want it for any other child that we're serving, because they deserve it. And there's sometimes in which we're the only sort of quality care that they're receiving when they have to go home or retreat to a lack of desirable household. So that's why I have always had that fundamental of using that Alexander policy in place.
And Shawn, it's not that I want to ignore you, but I'm going to jump over you for a second to Henri. Yeah. Because when I think about passion and passion for their community, Henri, you came back here to give back to your home and to take care of kids because of that passion.
Correct.
Talk about that and what you've done with the Crocket Foundation and in your passion for middle school.
Yeah, thanks, Cindy, for having us. As you know, I came back home to Pompano Beach. I really wanted to make an impact on the youth and actually give them footprints to follow. I benefited tremendously from mentorship in Pompano Beach in high school, whether you lived in the neighborhood or outside the neighborhood. And the one thing that stood out to me was exposure. As I began to travel and to see different places because of mentorship, my thought process started to change. And how I saw the world and my perspective was so different. And I started saying to myself, having an incorrect perspective is detrimental to a youth. And I saw a lot of that was going on in our neighborhood. The Crocket Foundation, our mission is to build character, develop communities, improve communities one child at a time. But what we want to do that through our after-school programs. So we're really big into tech. We're really big into exposure and experiences. Because I think that's just as detrimental as not being able to read and write. So our after-school programs, we do a lot of introducing different type of careers, bringing in individuals that look like these kids, so they see if they did it, I can do it. And we don't know what they're going to be, but I always want to be able to introduce them to as many careers as possible. And this year every year we take the kids on a different trip. Last year we went to DC. This year we're going to New York, and they get an opportunity to, visit, different colleges. We always find a college in every city we go to. Last year they went to the Naval Academy in D.C., and the kids are so, one, they're excited to be in a hotel, getting on a plane and all different things, but now they get to know what's going on in different cities. Now they just know more of what's going on in their neighborhood. We always talk about that 25-mile radius in our programs. And so we really, I'm really intentional about making sure that they know what's available to them. So I'm excited about the trips we're going during the school year to New York this year. And JetBlue's been gracious enough to give our kids a tour of their, New York is their home spot, so they're giving the kids a tour. Just in case some of the kids want to become pilots. We'll get opportunity to take a STEM class on JetBlue's campus, and these kids are so excited about that. And then the summertime, we're really big about making sure these kids understand what's going on in South Florida. There's so many different things that they can be a part of, and they just don't know. And a lot of the kids that we serve never go to the beach. So, with the resources that, Children's Service Council provides, we're able to teach the kids how to swim every day. We make Swim Central a part of our daily lives, but also getting the kids to learn about camping. For whatever reason, in our community, camping is not a part of what we do.
It's not really a part of what I do either. I gotta say, I don't understand the attraction, but I'm glad you're giving them the exposure.
I'm telling you, but we gotta get, we have to expose them to the outside world, because it's important. And so for us, it's all about exposure. I just want to make sure these kids are the most exposed in all of South Florida.
Well, I want to pursue that for a second, because you can't dream about being things that you've never seen.
Right.
And so during the school year, a lot of the focus is on homework assistance, but over the summer, you have more time to pursue some of those other ideas.
Yeah, because we go from having 2 hours a day to having 8 hours a day. So 2 hours a day, we got to pack in homework. Then we got to get a little bit of, golf in, some type of exposure and experiences. But the summertime, we can really go all in. We can come in and still have an educational component part of the day, but the other part of the day, we can, explore South Florida, and we can take trips, and we can explore different careers, because it's important for these kids to figure out who they want to be and what they want to do for the rest of their lives. A lot of times we wait till they get in high school or college to try and figure that out. But we try to do it at middle school because they're at that age where they can be influenced the most. So it's important that we put them on the right pathways. And I think our staff do a great job of just finding unique individuals that look like these individuals and careers that they never even dreamed about, and present them with it. Because we don't know what they're going to do. Like, so we're just going to throw it against the wall and see what sticks. Right. Because you never know what might turn that light on for that kid. So we just want to every day we out trying to find people in different careers to come, speak to our kids. I know they think I'm a little crazy every time. You mind speaking to our kids?
You haven't asked me yet. All right, I think I'm a little hurt, Henri.
You're on deck now. I'll make sure I let Courtney know, because Courtney will be calling you.
All right, I'm there. I love talking to kids.
We would love to have you.
I get to talk to them during the back to school extravaganza, but that's a different show.
Yes.
So, Shawn, I want to bring you into the conversation, because you're doing middle and high school.
Right.
And Firewall brings in another aspect of an opportunity to see themselves in a different way, because you bring in AmeriCorps members who can be both teachers and inspiration.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity, and thank you for bringing that up. So a great story is that we were founded 13 years ago in a trailer park community and started working with the kids just in that community. And so one of the young ladies, Nikita, who started with us in 6th grade, she went through our program, and sophomore year, she became what we would call an intern. So a little bit of opportunity to lead, still a student fundamentally, but also got the opportunity to kind of help the 9th graders, right? Because she has that 1-year advantage, and had that experience of living in the same community as these other kids. She graduated, now she's in BC, and she's on her 3rd year with us as an AmeriCorps member, which is a college student finishing her degree, getting a scholarship. This year alone, we are giving $250,000 of scholarship money to our over 100 AmeriCorps members, and that's this year alone, right? And so she's a perfect example of, I love what you said, I'm going to borrow it from now on, or is that called stealing? It's cradle to career. It's like she's starting her career in some sense with us in Firewall, serving the very kids from her community. And so right now she works in that same community with the kids that went to the middle school she went to, are in the went to the high school she went to, and she's getting kids to graduate from her high school. And so for us, that's just like, we talk all about servant leadership, and that for us is the best example of someone who looks like and is their community and is going back to serve and continuing their education. I mean, we couldn't ask for much more than that.
That's amazing. Talk a little bit about, I know the high school arena is a little bit new for you, but you've been doing some work in the high schools. How do you talk to them in high school? And Alice, you can talk about this as well. We're starting in middle school. We want to give them the exposure. That'll hopefully make them attach a little better to school and understand that there's a reason to go to school. How do you start exploring careers with the high school students and the life coaching aspect of that?
Yes. So one of the perks of having the funding through the Children's Services Council is that we have success coaches. I might be aging myself when it comes to my career and especially our funding stream from this Children's Services Council. But back in the day, I'm going to use that term, it was we coined the position or termed the position graduation coaching or graduation coaches. But what was awesome is that we were able to evolve that position to success coaching, and the question would be asked as to why. We realized that it's not just catering or taking care of the students, driving them to graduating, but what can we do to ensure that they have a smooth and seamless transition throughout high school so that they can actually achieve being able to graduate. And that is when we realized that success coaches were needed. It's usually on a 1-to-35 ratio, as you know. And what happens is that those success coaches, I would call them our internal cheerleaders. And they're the advocates for those students and those teens in the high school programs. And why do we need such advocacy at that level? I don't know if both of you have also shared what we have realized, but we have a lot of parents who are undocumented immigrants and who are afraid to actually touch or even step onto a campus because of fear of the immigration department. You have those who are they've never even been to high school and they feel intimidated by teachers and the administrators because of their illiteracy. And then you might have some of those parents who are working, are part of that ALICE population, the asset limited, income constrained, but employed population that just don't have the means or the time to be able to do that. That's why you need advocacy at that level, because there are many times where we have seen where students might be just missing one course in order for them to graduate. When that advocate looks into that pinnacle system, they realize, no, that child already took that course. So that child would have had to have been retained when technically that child could have been graduating on time. That's where advocacy comes in. Advocacy also comes in when we realize that there's some children that aren't exposed, as Henri spoke about, to just normal activities that we would assume is normal, bowling alley, or bringing cultural artists to explore them about different cultures around the world, or having them exposed to role models, because it's all well and good that they may see people on the television or TikTok, etc. I need to learn one of those dances, but in so doing, to see like people. Sometimes familiarity breeds that level of contentment. So what does that look like? If I see someone like myself, or if I have no father figure in the household, but you finally see Henri coming to speak to us, if the Y or one of us as providers introduces that person as a mentor, they can finally say, wow, that means I can do it too. And it opens up and it sparks that idea that, you know what, if this person can do it, I can do it, or I want to be like him or like what I think I could be. And that's where that level of advocacy comes in. Mentorship, partnership, and understanding that it's not just about academically driven. It's how can we ensure that the resources for the family unit is taking place so that that poor teen is not being burdened.
Well, and that's true, I think, throughout the continuum. You're absolutely right about that advocacy. And one of the things that we have wanted to make sure, and you all do really well, and I'd like you to speak to, is the academics are important. After school programs, we want the children to be safe. That's one of your outcomes. They have to stay safe. We want them to improve or retain the knowledge. So we're trying to prevent that summer slide in the year-round programming. But then there's all those other benefits. There's the social emotional learning. There's the interactions between the adults and the children. There's the looking at the interactions between the young people and those value-added components.
Yeah.
You both use that really well, which we build in, and some flex funds, but that value-added so that you have teachers, they're helping you with your homework, but then you also do some creative things with them.
Yeah. And that's why the success coaches are so important in our programs, right? I always say they're the engine of our organization because in order for a kid to really focus in school and to attain the grades, achieve the grades that we want them to achieve, it's a lot of different variables that come into play. The home environment comes in play. So it's important that these success coaches work with the parents. We always talk about that, go a little deep under the hood and try and figure out what's really going on at home. And that's where the flex funds can come in. We find that some of the parents, you know what, this kid's getting dressed in the dark, got on mismatched color socks. You know, he go to school, he late to school because he had to walk his little sister to school because his mom working 2 different jobs. And he go there, get in school, and the teacher's yelling because he don't have a pencil. But in the grand scheme of things, not having a pencil, what does that really measure up for what he's going through? So in order to do all those things, you have to have that success coach to really put it all together. And then from that point, then you start bringing in the value added. Now we're starting to expose the kid. We're making him a more well-rounded kid. And I think so the setup of our programs, our Youth For program is so, I love it because it's so important because it's just not dealing with the kid, you're servicing the family as well. And because that's what we find. In order for the kid to be successful, in order for the things to go where we want it to go, you have to include those parents. You have to have the family's voice, the parents' voice, the kids' voice, even the other siblings. You know what I mean? Because those things can impact not only your program, but how the kid sees the world or his perspective. So it's important that we include everyone. That's from what we've seen, the impact of having to include the families has been so important to our programs.
Shawn, you want to talk about what you've done with the value added and how you are exposing the children to other opportunities?
Yeah, we just having talked about careers, we basically had speakers from Broward College and other folks from multiple different connections and with different resources to come and speak to the students about career opportunities. We've done a lot of project-based learning surrounding those topics of, what kind of career would you like to pursue? What kind of opportunities have you not yet exposed yourself to that maybe would be something of interest to you? So we've actually and some of this, we use this Career One-Stop tool, which is basically an assessment to let the kids kind of grow their understanding of what careers they might be good at. So it's an assessment that'll show them 20 different things. Hey, these are your top 20 career opportunities that maybe you haven't explored. And most kids go, yeah, that's fine, but I want to play basketball. It's like, no, that's great. So how about we do this? How about you explore basketball and then explore just one of these 2? I mean, it's backup, fall back. You're never going to need these because you're going to be a star, but you could maybe just so you know, right? Because you owe it to yourself to know what you might do if you get injured in the courts and if things don't work out the way you imagine it. As we know, life often doesn't go exactly as we plan. Correct. And then based on what they pick, we actually try to figure out how we can grow them in that arena. So yes, basketball. So it's like what we actually have as part of what we do with their coaches is we have ISP goals. So we actually have to set goals that are not only academic, which as you mentioned are incredibly important, but we have to set career goals. We have to set personal, social, and emotional goals. And so when we look at their career opportunities, we say, hey, you mentioned basketball, but also this thing came up. What is this? A psychologist and then an anesthesiologist. Does that ring any bells for you? And sometimes they don't even know what these opportunities are or what the pay would be. And so we actually ask them to do research on those things. And then they come back, do you know an anesthesiologist makes money? And it's like, yeah, we knew you did. It's like, all right, listen, about basketball, if it don't work out, I'm not so disappointed anymore because I seem to have this other opportunity. I might be good at this. This is what the thing told me. So you get excited for them as they get excited. And depending on what the thing is, we try to figure out if there's anything they can practice. And so we don't tend to practice anesthesiology type stuff with our students.
You don't have any project-based anesthesiology.
We don't really lay anyone on the table and say, see if you can put them to sleep and get them back up. But with discretion, we choose not to do that. But where there are opportunities, like someone who's like, yeah, this 3D printing, like, we can get access to the 3D printers at the school. Or I would like to do more research about videography. Well, let's talk to the media production teacher. And so we actually go down those lanes, and that way it's more than just exposing them to things that I think might be exciting. It's more the youth voice saying, this came up and I'm moderately interested in it, and going, wherever there's interest, there's inspiration and opportunity. And so we try to take them down that lane as far as it'll go. And sometimes they go, I don't want to put people to sleep, I don't want to be an anesthesiologist, and that's okay.
Well, that idea of putting people on the right path is where we're going to have to stop. I could talk to the three of you for hours, but our time is up. Thank you so much for the passion and commitment that you bring to this work. We're going to hear from some of the children who have benefited from these programs, and take a listen.
So hi, I'm Marcus Fenora. So I'm a first grader at Fields Elementary. Why I like being a Firewall student? Why? Because the counselors are nice, and you could do your homework at Firewall, and at home you could just relax and stuff and watch TV.
My name is Liliana Cyrus, and I'm a fourth grader at Village Elementary. It feels great to be a Firewall student because our mentors help us learn, and we also get tutoring papers so we could practice on our math, reading. It means to be a path kid by you could help your mentor, or if something happens, if they need you to do something for them, you could help them. I like my mentor. I have 3 favorites.
Hi, my name is Jacory I'm a 6th grader from Lauderhill 6 through 12. To be a Firewall student, it feels good because you can actually get your grades up, and they help you a lot from academic stuff and make you have fun. I used to have really bad grades, but now I have A's and B's, and now I'm doing really good in school now. Thank you, CSC Broward, for the privilege that you gave us.
Hello, YMCA of South Florida. This is my friend Janelle. And this is my friend Asia. And I came to this aftercare program so my mom could work. It's a whole lot of fun. My favorite activity is drawing. Playing games with my teacher. Right after I'm done with my homework, I do math and reading. Having DJs, having parties. We get juice. Have dance parties. We have musicians. And popsicles. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. It's okay to come here. My favorite counselor is Miss Katanya, Miss Janae, and Miss Tyree. Miss Moore. Because she's so fun all the time. Because she's fun. My favorite counselor is me. Well, this is a fun site, so if you come out, I'll tell you we can play games all day. Can you come here so we could play kickball and do our homework together? I love the YMCA.
Thank you all again, really, not just for coming here today, but for what you do every day. The passion and commitment just warms my heart, and I look forward to working with you for many more years to come. Thank you to Alice-Lydia Bird, Henri Crocket, and Shawn Laser for helping us to understand more clearly not just the importance of after-school programs, but the passion that they bring to these. Trust your children to the after-school programs. You'll be glad that you did. I've been your host, Cindy Arenberg Seltzer. For this or any other episode of Future First, focus on Broward's children, go to our website, cscbroward.org, where you can access our YouTube channel, follow us on social media, and remember to join us next time on Future First, focus on Broward's children.